Suppose O is the center of the circle. The radius of a circle is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. The diameter is the longest distance across a circle. The diameter cuts through the center of the circle. This is what makes it the longest distance. The diameter of a circle is twice its radius. The circumference of a circle is the distance around the outer edge. Circumference of a circle equals pi times diameter. An easy way to remember this formula is cherry pie delicious. Now let's take a look at this question. The figure below shows two identical semicircles in a rectangle. Find the perimeter of the shaded part. Take pi to be 3.14. Now, there are two identical semicircles. We have a rectangle. We are supposed to find the perimeter. Pi is 3.14. To solve this question, okay, we must first outline where the perimeter is. To find perimeter, we need to find the circumference of half of this semicircle, the length of the rectangle, plus another circumference of half of a semicircle and another length of the rectangle. So the perimeter of the shaded part will be half the circumference of a semicircle times 2, because there are two circumference of a semicircle, plus the two lengths. This will give us 90.24 centimeters. Let's take a look at this question. The figure below shows three identical semicircles. Find the perimeter of the figure. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So now we have three identical semicircles. 1, 2, and 3. And we are supposed to find the perimeter of the figure. Now, to find perimeter, we need to find the length of this circumference of this semicircle plus the diameter of the semicircle. Okay, perhaps I can highlight so that it will be easier to see. The circumference of this semicircle plus the diameter of a semicircle of the circle, diameter of a circle, plus another circumference of a semicircle, this diameter, another circumference of a semicircle, and another diameter. So here we need to first find the diameter of the semicircle of a circle. Now, since the total length from the left hand side to the right hand side is 111 centimeters, the diameter will be 111 divided by 3, which is 37 centimeters. So to find the perimeter of a shaded part is half the circumference of a semicircle times 3, because there's 3 of these circumferences, plus 3 diameters, which is 111 centimeters. So the total length will be 285.36 centimeters, rounded off to 2 decimal places. Area of a circle. The area of a circle means the space occupied within the circle, and the formula to find area of a circle is pi times radius times radius. The figure is made up of 4 identical quadrants. Find the area of the figure. Take pi to be 22 out of 7. So we are given 4 identical quadrants. One quadrant is 1/4 of a circle. And we are supposed to find the area of the figure. Pi is 22 out of 7. Now, these 4 quadrants form one circle. Watch. Suppose I take out this quadrant. I can put it here. Another quadrant form the semicircle, the third quadrant, and the last quadrant, and now I have a full circle. So the radius of this circle is 28 centimeters. To find the area, the area of the figure, which is the area of the circle, I use pi times radius times radius, and the answer is 2464 square centimeters. Let's take a look at another example. The figure shows 4 identical quadrants in a square. Find the area and perimeter of the figure shaded in black. Take pi to be 22 out of 7. So now, there are 4 identical quadrants and we have a square. These quadrants are found inside a square. Okay, we are supposed to find the area and the perimeter of the black portion. Pi is 22 out of 7. So now, to find area, we need to first find radius. Okay, can you see that the 4 quadrants, the 4 blue portion forms, this is a square, okay, and the 4 quadrants form a circle. So to find the area of the black portion is simply the area of the square minus the area of the circle. Now, so we need to first find the radius of a circle. Since the length of this square is 14 centimeters, the radius will be 14 divided by 2, 7 centimeters. So the area of the shaded portion, shaded figure in black, is area of square, 14 times 14, minus away the area of a circle, pi times radius times radius. And the answer will be 42 square centimeters. The second part of the question wants us to find the perimeter of the figure. To find perimeter, we need to know the diameter. So 14 centimeter is the diameter of the circle. Okay, and perimeter means the outline. So we want to find the perimeter of the figure shaded in black. Means I need to find this length plus this length plus this length plus this length. These 4 lengths forms the circumference of a circle. So the perimeter of the figure in black is the circumference of a circle, which is pi times diameter, 44 centimeters. Take a look at this question. The figure is made up of a square and 2 quadrants. Okay, I have a square, 2 quadrants. Find the perimeter as well as the area of the shaded portion. It means the portion in blue. Give your answers correct to 2 decimal places. Now, it is not stated in the question what is the value of pi. In this case, we will use pi, we will take the value of pi as from the calculator. Okay? So let's first identify where's the square. The red portion shows the square. So the length is 16, the diameter is the length is 16, the breadth is also 16 centimeters. Let's identify the 2 quadrants. The first quadrant is here. Okay, so the radius of this the radius will be 16 centimeters. The next quadrant is here. So same thing, the radius is 16 centimeters. Now, to find perimeter means this length here, which is a quarter of the circumference of a circle, plus this length here, which is another quadrant of the circumference of a circle. So the perimeter of this whole entire circle is two of a quadrant of the circumference of a circle. Okay, so 1/4 times pi times diameter, 32 centimeters, and because there are 2 of these quadrants, I multiply by 2, and the answer rounded off to 2 decimal places is 50.27 centimeters. The next part of the question asks us to find the area of the shaded part. Now, let's take a look at this quadrant, the one outlined in red. Okay, let's find the area of this quadrant, which is 1/4 times pi times radius, and the radius is 16 centimeters. So the area of this quadrant is 201.062 square centimeters. At this point, I want to highlight to you that if the final answer wants you to leave your answer to 2 decimal places, you have to ensure that your intermediate answer, in this case, which is 201.062, you need to leave your answer to 3 decimal places. Right, after finding the area of this quadrant, now if I draw a line across, which is the diagonal of the square, I find the area of this triangle. Okay, I can find what is this. I can find the area of this triangle, which is half times base times height. The base is 16 centimeters. The height is also 16 centimeters. The area of this yellow triangle, therefore, is 128 square centimeters. Now, why I find this area of triangle? Because to find the area of this portion here, I use the area of the quadrant, which is the one in red, minus away the one in yellow, will give me this blue portion. Correct? Will give me this portion. Since the shaded figure has 2 of such, I multiply the answer by 2. So the area of the shaded part will be 201.062 minus the area of a triangle, multiplied by 2. You round off the answer to 2 decimal places, you will get 146.12 square centimeters. Let's take a look at the last question. The figure shows semicircles of equal area at the sides of a square. So I know there are many semicircles and they have equal area. The diameter of each semicircle. Now this is called one semicircle and this is called one diameter, the diameter of one semicircle. This length here is this length here is equal to half the length of the side of the dotted square. Since I know the length of the square is 24 centimeters, therefore I can conclude that the diameter of the semicircle is 24 cm divided by 2, which is 12 centimeters. I'm supposed to find the area and the perimeter of the shaded part, leaving my answers to 2 decimal places. In this question again, the value of pi is not stated, so we will use the pi from the calculator. Now, let's take a look at this yellow semicircle. If I were to cut this yellow semicircle, I can fit it nicely over here. Next, I can cut out this green semicircle. I can fit it nicely here. I cut out the blue semicircle. I can put it here. And if I cut out this purple semicircle, I can fit it here. So in other words, the area of the shaded part is simply the area of the square, which is length times breadth, 24 cm times 24 centimeters. 576 square centimeters will be the answer. Next, I'm supposed to find the perimeter of the shaded part. Now, perimeter is this. If I start from here, okay, perimeter means this length plus this length plus this length. Okay, maybe I should let me erase. Let me erase all the ink. Now, perimeter means I need to find the length of this plus this plus this plus the blue one plus the purple one, the green one, the dark green one, and this gray one. If I add up all this length, it will give me the perimeter. Now, each of this length is actually half the circumference of a semicircle. Let's count how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So to find the perimeter of this figure, I need to find 8 times of this circumference of a semicircle. Okay, but before that, I need to find the diameter. The diameter is 12 centimeters. Okay, and the perimeter of the shaded figure is half times pi times 12 cm. This will give me this value, this half times pi times 12 cm gives me half the circumference of a circle. And there are 8 of them, so I multiply by 8. And the final answer is 150.80 square centimeters rounded off to 2 decimal places.